Hello everyone and welcome to this video where I am going to be explaining the steps and giving you a full tutorial on how to build a remote control car. Now, the car you see behind me here, the full-size car and the remote control version, obviously it's not meant for accomplishing missions in the game, but these steps will teach you how to create a remote control vehicle, whether it be an underwater ROV or whatever, and use it in a functional setting. So follow along. So first things first, as you can see here, we have our full-size truck and we have the miniature version of it. And over here we see that there's a camera in front of the remote control truck. So we're going to go through the steps on how to get a camera working. Now this laptop here is just for fun, for visual purposes. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn on channel 1. And if we go here, if we press the 1 button, you see the lights light up on the little remote control truck, including the tail lights, and you kind of see it matches the full-size version. And then if we press W, it'll drive, and if we release W, it'll brake. If we hold S, it goes backwards, and likewise we could turn the wheel so we can operate it, and we could follow along its trek on the screen or in the real world. So you can see here, now there is a bit of delay, but that is just the function or the capabilities of the remote control. It doesn't instantly give throttle, so there is a little bit of a delay, but regardless you could still operate the vehicle fairly well enough. So let's get to building this little thing. So we're going to start in an empty workbench, just so we can go through all the steps on how to build a remote control vehicle. The first thing we want to do is make a little chassis for the vehicle itself. We'll use the smallest available wheels, and by turning on symmetry, we're going to end up having everything spinning the same way. So now we will have to determine which way that is turning, so I'll go through those steps. Now we're also going to shrink them down to size so the remote control car looks right proportionally. Now we will need piping systems, so we're going to go with the enclosed pipe, and we will get a T-piece for the beginning here, and then we're going to just have regular enclosed pipe all the way to the back. Not here. Here we're going to have one of these X or cross pieces, and then I like the idea of putting the motor right in the back here because it's not taking up space. So this is the front here. Now in the front we'll put a camera just like this. We'll rotate it so it's upright in the right direction. Okay, that is the basic mechanics of the system. Next, we obviously will need a battery because it's a battery operated remote control car. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that right here for now. Next, what we need is a microcontroller to operate this thing. But first, before we do that, I am going to build the body just so we have something to sort of play with, in a sense that it looks a little bit more like a car. Now, that other one I started off the video with was a truck. This one we could make into a full little car, just like that. Now, obviously the styling is up to you, how you want to do that. But what I will do is give you a basic overview. So we're going to use just simple indicator paintable ones, so paintable indicators, and for the middle just a regular paintable sign, just like that. You have to make sure that it's all aimed forward, and for the rear we want to get the same paintable indicators. And if we want to have a light up there, actually it's probably better to put it here like that. It'll look a little more realistic, and just like that. So that is the basis of our remote control car. Now you can go as crazy as you want with painting these blocks. I'm not going to get too far into that. All I'm going to do is do a simple grill design, let's just do this. And we're just going to give it some stripes. I guess we can make it go all the way to the end. Now, most of you should already know how to paint, so this is no kind of groundbreaking revelation. But what I will do is show how to connect it. So that's going to be the essence of my grill, and when we turn on the lights, they're going to just be little LEDs like that. For the tail end, or the rear, I'm going to just go ahead and make a simple light as well, like that, with red on the inside, and we're going to paint that like that. And I always like to have a little bit of a layering like that, just so it looks a little nicer. I do that on my cars as well. There. Obviously, if you do want to paint the whole thing, this is your chance too. We can give it a nice metallic color like that, and paint the windshield and windows all another color like that. Okay, that was not intentional. We definitely want to give this a different color. That'll work. There. And the tail end, just like that. Okay, so fair enough. We got ourselves a little car shape thing. But we will need now some microcontrollers, and that's actually why I did the other one as a truck version, so we could figure out something. But first things first, let's grab our empty microcontroller. As I always explain in my videos, just have simple empty microcontroller that you could play with. And we're going to need to make it probably this size, and we'll start adding some things. I'm just going to call this remote video. Remote test. First things first, we'll need the throttle, but the throttle is going to be in an output form, and it's going to be a number. Next, we're going to have a number output for the brakes. We're also going to have an on-off output for the lights. Then we're going to have a composite input, and this is going to go to the antenna. And we're going to have a number output for frequency. And the last one you'll need is the steering itself. So we're going to have that also as a number output, and that's going to be steering. So we have throttle, brakes, lights, which is going to be our channel 1, antenna frequency, and steering. So with that all placed here, and as I always like to do is adjust everything so they're in the right place based on their nodes, just like this. Now we'll have to find out what numbers we want each thing to relate to. So this is where knowledge of the remote control comes into play. But what I'm just going to do is update this and come back here. Now, if we go to the remote control, this is what it tells you. So press left mouse button to toggle the remote control on off, B to cycle, frequencies, whatever. Now, what I do is actually, as a little bit of a, what I do to find what each reference means on the remote or each channel is I get a seat. And if you put the seat here and use the composite, you could actually see here what controls what. So what we need is the W and S are going to be the throttle, obviously. So W and S on this is value 2. A and D are value 1. So A and D is steering. And if we go back into our little control, into our microcontroller here, we could now grab the composite channels. And what we're going to do is we're going to write the composite channels just like that. Or nope, we're not going to write them. We are going to read them. So we're going to read the composite channels. Pardon my first mistake. And what we're going to do is have different channels. So channel 1 and channel 2. Now channel 1 we just said is the steering, so that's going to go to here. Channel 2 we said is the throttle, so we're going to put that there. Frequency is up here. We're just going to set it to be a constant number, so we'll set it to be 1. So frequency 1 is to control this thing. Now we could adjust these so they all fit a little bit nicer. And last thing we need is a composite read on or off, and we're going to set this to be channel 1 for the lights. And actually our microcontroller is full, so that is all we're going to fit into it. So that is our lights. Now what I did for my other little remote control is brakes don't work the same way, in a sense that when you hold S, if you brake when you hold S, you're not going to get your car into reverse. So the current system we have here, where channel 2 gets us the throttle, is we can actually put the car in reverse just by holding S. It makes it way more easier for these little electric cars. But what I do want is the brakes to be applied. So in this case, what I'm going to do is put a threshold gate, and what the threshold is going to do is, if my throttle is between negative, let's say 3 and positive 3.3, sorry, negative 0.3 and positive 0.3, then I want it to go into a numerical switch box that's going to turn my brakes on. Now if this threshold is not activated, then my off is going to be 0, so I don't want my brakes doing anything. But if this value is between this, I would like my brakes to be applied. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this to 0.2. That may be too strong. We're going to have to kind of see, but we're also going to do a little bit of diagnostics on this as well. Steering as well, I'm just going to want to clamp, because if you don't put a clamp, your wheels are going to turn very far and it won't be very controllable. And we're going to set this minimum to negative 0.5 and positive 0.5. So this should be everything we need for now. We're just going to add it to our creation. So here it is now. Now a good spot to put it on this car is right in here. I'm just going to go ahead and paint it, and once it's painted, you can hold Control and place it right here. Delete this one. So there we have it. This is now our antenna, and we have all the other points. Now we will need a physical antenna, so I'm just going to go and add our radio antenna. The smallest one is fine, 100 meters. We don't need this thing to go too far. And lastly, we're going to need the video. So for video transmit, it looks kind of clunky like this. Now since you do have this controller here, and this thing is kind of long, you may have trouble putting it somewhere. Let's just see if we do put it up here, or put that there, we could probably get around hiding the antenna. Well, the battery as well, we can. Now this is all aesthetics. This does not matter to you guys, but I will go ahead and show this part as well, just because it is still technically part of the build. That battery is going to have a tough time joining in, so I'm not quite sure. We have to remove the wheel. Let's take the wheel, drag it out, and then drag this out from the wheel like that, put it back here. And now that we have it all joined up, we just take a simple cube block, make everything in. There we go. Now the battery's there, and in here I can put my transmitter just like that and cover it up. Now actually, to just be symmetrical and to make a little bit more battery power, it's not a bad idea to add a battery, and also the weight is going to be a little bit better. It's not bad to add another battery exactly opposite of this. Now again, because of the limitations of the game, you'll have to sort of drop it in place and then delete some blocks. So I'm just gonna do that real quick here. There we go. Okay, batteries in. Now I'm gonna leave my wheels out for now because there's a reason. Our steering is not yet joined up, so let's just put them here for now and actually join them to our car. I know that's not the right place, like I just said. Now we do have the transmitter down there, and I'm just gonna fill the rest with basic blocks so we can finish the car body. There we go. And we'll just add little windshield and paint this and paint this, and then you could go ahead and paint everything around your microcontroller, to make it black around the window. There you go. So there's your little car. We need to connect everything for the microcontroller now. So to do that, we're gonna go into here. Oh yeah, and we did remove our antenna, so either we hide it somewhere inside this car, but the best place I think right now, just looking at it, well actually down here, where I'd put it is right in the middle here, because we don't need to put a license plate on this car. It's not a real car, so we're just going to put a little radio antenna on the back, just like that. It actually looks kind of cool there, and connect everything to the batteries. I always like to have one central point that is sort of connected to everything, just like that. Now in here, the antenna goes to the antenna node, data received. So if you go into the remote test here, you see what's being sent. All this data is being received now. And if we go to video, we can transmit the video. So the last or next thing we need now is the frequency of our antennas. So we have here the frequency, and I'm holding control, and we're going to put this frequency the same, so both is frequency 1. Now throttle is going to go to the motor, brakes are going to go to the variable brakes, and lastly steering goes to the front wheels here. And lights will just control all of our little lights, even the tail lights, everything. It just kind of to make it such that it's on. Obviously you could have a real like headlight or spotlight, but we're not going to worry about that now. Okay, so we don't need this seat anymore, but what we do need, or what I'd like to have, is a little table that can serve as our sort of remote control spot. We're going to add a display here, right in the middle. I'm going to add just a simple player sensor, just so it activates the TV once we're close enough. And of course, we will also need a remote control and a battery for this control station, just because, and I could put a battery under the table as such. There we go. Connect everything up to the battery on this station, and connect, and then we're going to need the receiver point. So if we go to video, we need the video receiver, and that also needs to be connected to electricity, and that's going to be connected to the TV. And also we need to be receiving the video feed, so we're going to need to have a number for frequency. So I'm just going to go to constant number, and we're using channel 1 for both remote and for the video, so channel 1. Now let us spawn this and see what happens. So everything spawned up, which is good. The video's on, means we're receiving power from our little remote control car. Now if I grab this and put it to channel 1 and toggle it, so it's actually working, you could see if I stand in front and press the mouse button and press 1, the lights are turning on. But now if I press A, our wheels kind of turn into themselves, but the left one there, or rather right one from the front of the car, is turning in the right direction. So this one here, we have to flip in the opposite direction. So if we come here, we're going to want to select it, and this is why I left it out without putting it into the body, otherwise we'd have to extract it. So press U, that flips it this way. Press I, it flips it that way. Press O, and that flips it this way. That actually turns the steering, but not only the steering, it rotates it, so it's going to be accelerating backwards, which definitely we do not want. So what I might do now is press U and then flip this thing around like that, and then flip it like that. So you have to do a little bit of flipping, but as you can see now, our arrows are facing both in the same direction. They're both rotating counterclockwise. But if you look at the top here, our turn arrows are also facing the right direction. They're actually both going clockwise. So now we can install this back into the wheel well and go under the car and mount it in. Spawn it up again. Now you run slow when you have remote control, but here we are. So take the remote control. Now I gotta not face this, otherwise the car will despawn. So press B to channel 1. Lights are on, and I'm pressing W. It is not going, but the wheels are turning, which is good. So now we definitely missed something since the throttle is not wanting to go. Now in here, we could see that I've put channel 2 as the throttle, and then here, if it's between this and this, it will be braking. That looks all good. So then the nodes must be incorrect. I forgot to connect the motor to the battery. So now everything is connected. And if we come over here, you can see from a distance, our car is going. And if I rotate the W and S, and if I let go of the mouse, or if I press the reverse, it stops. So that's kind of the way to make the brakes work. You either let go of the throttle and it'll eventually brake itself. That was not pressing the brake, or I'm pressing S now, holding S, and if I let go and press W, it stops. So that just kind of gives you a bit of braking power outside of just in addition to having the controls to press W and S and then steer it, of course. So like I said in the beginning of the video, a little bit of a delay for sure with turning, but that's just how the game sort of works. And then if we go over here to our display, we can also watch what the car does from the screen and not from the physically looking at it. So if you do have some sort of ROV that goes underwater or whatever, you could use the video display rather than having it having a physical sort of physical view on it. So it is nice to have the ability and camera form. So there we have it. That was a brief tutorial on a little remote control vehicle. You could obviously apply remote control to cranes, to planes, to any type of equipment, but here we are using it just for a simple little remote control car. So thank you all for watching. I hope you found this video informative and helpful for making any type of remote control vehicles or using the remote control to operate any type of equipment. So thank you for watching, stay tuned for more, and as always, happy Stormworksing.